Hello, everyone. It's Coach Mo Faul here for another Motivational Monday episode. You might be wondering who this amazing person is who is next to me. This is Amy Anfinson. Amy is a friend of mine. She's a fellow coach. We're both certified in the Coach for Life coaching program. Amy and I met over 3 years ago when I was getting certified, and she was one of the coach helpers in the workshop. Amy is now, I'm proud to say, on my coaching team, helping my kick-ass ladies get the ultimate results in my kick-ass workshop. Amy Anfinson, welcome to Motivational Monday.
Thank you, Mo. Glad to be here.
So great to have you here. Amy's been on my team for what, like 3 or 4 weeks now? You're like old school
4 weeks, yeah. Been awesome.
now. Coach Jean Callahan, Miliana Demori, and also career coach Bonnie Negron, who is our certified resume and LinkedIn expert. Amy and I are here today to join forces to talk about your career after the age of 40 and 50, and maybe even after the age of 60. I have had some clients in my workshop in their 60s, and we're rocking and rolling with them. Amy is a powerful success coach. So I'm going to talk about the aspects of your career after the age of 40 and 50 and why it's so important to make the moves in your career in your 40s and 50s. Just a little spoiler alert, it's not too late. You owe it to yourself to make those career changes. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about why in this age range does it get to be more of a compelling problem? Hello, Debbie Grant. Welcome to Motivational Monday. Folks, if you would like to hear my podcast on this topic, all you have to do is pop over to my website and it'll be right there for you. I think we'll probably have the link below here as well. Every week on Motivational Monday, I like to come live and dialogue with you and answer your comments and questions as we're talking about this very big topic. So, Amy, I have a couple of really, really important things to talk to our audience about today, about why they need to pay attention to their career after the age of 40. And I'm just going to kind of dive in. Then I'm going to hand the topic over to you, and you can put your coaching expertise on the topic as well. Ladies, if you're following me live, feel free, please, to ask a question to either Amy or I about anything career or life related, because we're ready to rock and roll. I know, Debbie, I'm excited that Amy is here also. Debbie Grant, you get the All-Star Award for being on all my Motivational Mondays. And now I've decided to shake it up a little bit. I know you wanted more than just me. So now I am bringing Amy to help me talk about this very crucial topic. Ladies, if you're in your 40s or 50s or beyond, here's a few truths. Other than menopause, other than the kids finishing high school or college, here's some truths about what's going on in your life. Number one, you're beginning to think about retirement. So that brings a compelling circumstance for notching your career up to a level that it must be at for you to have a more secure and happier feeling future. When we start to think about retirement, we start to think about planning and finances and what we have in that 401k or retirement account, or have we paid down the house? I'm not Susie Orman giving you financial advice, but I will tell you this. You've got to maximize your earning power in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Don't languish playing small any longer. It's time to go. The other thing that conflicts with that is that when you're in your 40s and 50s, after a couple of decades in your career, you've been kind of punched in the face, punched in the nose, passed over, ignored, shut down in meetings. You've had the bad boss. You've had the bad colleagues. You've had the projects that you were blamed for their going wrong. You've had all of that. And here's what happens. Not only does your ego get hurt and bruised, not only do you feel bad, but your energy body gets nicked and scraped and scarred. And that energy body is part of your energetic world that eventually starts interacting with your physical body. And when your energy body is hurt, depleted, feeling neglected or run down, it's going to come into your body somewhere that's going to get your attention. For me, I got breast cancer at 46. That got my attention. Amy, tell us a little bit more about what happens when we have these assaults in the real world and how they come in and affect us as physical human beings.
Well, we definitely feel it on a physical level, but more than anything, I think energetically, as we get older as women, I know I'm about to reach 50, and energetically, we just can't operate the same way. So we really have to be more careful in how we spend our time, where we put our energy, and are we taking time to refuel our body and our mind and our thoughts. And after being hit a few times here and there, there's a lot of disappointments and hurts. We have to figure out how to overcome those so that we can use that for our advantage, and let it be fuel and passion and wisdom that we're operating from.
Yes, yes. As energetic creatures who are having this physical experience, the only way we get messages is through our body. And most of us were brought up with the fact that it was called intuition or gut instincts or following our gut. But really what's happening is that our energy being, our soul, our highest version of us is trying to get our attention. Sometimes it's a little tap on the shoulder, but typically in our 40s and 50s, we haven't been paying attention to the taps and the little whispers. We need a bigger shout. And some of the ladies I've worked with have talked about it being like a 2x4 smack over the head. And that's sometimes what it takes to get our attention. And that doesn't feel good. Debbie Grant, I've been hit hard. So once we've been hit, what should we start thinking about?
Well, I think it's really about taking time to reflect and really reevaluate, because who we are today is very different than even 6 months ago. And a lot of times we just go on autopilot. We just keep doing the same thing over and over. And we really have to pause and take time to reflect and evaluate, is this still working for me? Is this what I want? And open ourselves up to the different possibilities and changes that we can make for ourselves instead of just doing that same thing over and over.
Yeah.
Slowing down and reevaluating is what I would say.
So in slowing down, we don't mean quit your job and take a hiatus from life and your career. We mean going inside and slowing the pace of your life down so you can pay attention to the messages that are coming in. We all feel when we're running on the treadmill that we want to say to the world, like, stop, let me off this merry-go-round and let me take a break. We all get that. We all get what that feels like in the human existence of feeling like you've really got to, like, get me off this. But what we're really talking about is, in order for you to really pay attention to the messages that are coming for your higher good, you have to slow down. One of the things, as Amy knows, we do this as coaches. If we're good coaches, we have a daily ritual that allows us to slow down and receive our highest good, our highest self every day. Meditation, time for reflection in the morning, some journaling. If you've been following my work, you know I have this 10-10-10 daily ritual, and I want my clients in my workshop to be doing it because it's the only way we can help them move forward. But ladies, if you're not in my workshop, if you want to just kind of slow down and take stock of things, you've got to give yourself some sacred time in the morning. And don't say, I'm going to stop you right now, ladies. Don't say, but I pray and I have a devotional in the morning. If you're actually ingesting information, you're not actually receiving your highest good information. You're taking content in. What I want you to do is to allow your higher self, your inner self, and your source, your God, to come through you, to come to you. Don't fill yourself up with all this content that's coming this way, because then you're basically blocking the best messages that you could be getting. Amy, talk a little bit about being open to receive.
Yeah, I say there's a difference in thinking and receiving. Thinking is when we're really trying to fix and figure something out and are kind of like efforting a little too hard. And receiving is really in this relaxed state where you're not efforting, like you're open to really receive, I call them divine messages.
Yeah.
So that you are tuned into your soul, your guidance. And from there, you can feel it. Like there's just like this peace that washes over you versus the thinking mind that's like exhausting. It's kind of efforting, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So being able to pay attention to when you are relaxed, and I think part of it is like calming the nervous system down so that you can be in that receiving mode. And a lot of times we're just on go full speed that we don't know how to relax and let that in.
Right. As a human being, we're both a transmitter of energy out and a receiver of energy in. And if we're on go mode is basically our energy coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out. And if we don't have a deep enough reservoir, we get depleted at the end of the day. And ladies, I got to tell you this. If you're in your 40s and 50s and you've been on go mode for a decade or two or three, you've probably whittled that soul energy light down to like this teeny little pilot light. And it wants to burn a fierce, beautiful fire within. And you've got to do the inner work to bring it back to light. Otherwise, that little dim light is going to be speaking to you, light me up, light me up. And the only way it's going to get your attention, not from light me up, but from light me up. I'm going to break your ankle so you can pay attention to me. I'm going to give you diarrhea so you can pay attention to me. I'm going to give you breast cancer so you can pay attention to me. I was just talking to a beautiful woman. She'll join the workshop tomorrow. We were talking about, she said, Mo, what brought you to this work? And I said, truthfully, it was my breast cancer. My breast cancer is what brought me to a level of reflection that I had not done. And I've done a lot of studying, a lot of workshops, a lot of conferences. I've had a coach since the year 2000. But in 2008, I got a pop in the face, a punch in the gut, and I was sidelined with 2 missing breasts. And if that's not enough to push you into self-reflection mode, I don't know what you'd need, but it's what took me to myself. And when I got there, I realized that I'm a coach, I'm a cheerleader, I'm a person who likes to egg people on to their best self. And I went back after my 4-week hiatus from breast cancer, and I came back as the coach leader, not the boss, not the demanding, go get them, get stuff done that I was so good at. I moved and altered into a way where I was enlivening the souls who were on my team and in my company. And that felt so much better to me than go, 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 get stuff done, go, go, go. Now, we got more done that way than we did in the go mode. Amy, talk a little bit about why that is when we really get our soul going, why it's actually more than we thought that we could do.
Absolutely. When we are aligned, I use the word alignment. So, here's our soul. And when we are fully aligned, you got your whole self. And when you're operating from that whole self, then your actions, you don't have to take as many actions to get the job done. So you're actually working less and getting more done. And I can totally relate when I had my moment when I hit the brick wall and my body started talking to me, doing all kinds of things, and heart palpitations and panic attacks.
Yeah.
And it was a real wake up call. But whenever, when I started slowing down and I started learning how to listen and pay attention, it's like I could get so much more done in less time because my energy level was up. I wasn't working on low. Like when you're working on low and you're in a frustrated state and you're feeling guilty or powerless or angry or hurt.
Yeah.
You do not operate from a place where you are on full cylinders, I guess you could say.
Right.
When you do practice and learn how to find your alignment, you're able to operate on full cylinders and everything just, there's a way, I don't know, I call it the flow state. Like things just start working out things fall into place. It's almost like the universe, God, it's like you're in flow with all of that versus out there on the raw ragged edge trying to do it all by yourself.
Right. And the thing that I think is one of the crowning glories of finding our flow and being in alignment is the absolute truth that we are not in this alone. And it doesn't matter what your religion or your spiritual practice is. Ladies, you live in an energetic universe. So if you want to look at that's how God put the universe together. Cool, awesome. If you're more quantum physics, and it's just like it's this matrix that we're in, and when we are tapping into the source of the unified field, we have this abundant energy supply that is ours to be a part of. And it all allows us to have that flow state. When we are in our hustle mode, our go, go, go mode, we're actually disassociating from the energy source we're attached to. We are in doing mode rather than allowing ourselves to be in being mode. And it's almost like, Amy, like running on an empty tank of gas.
Yes.
When we fill our reservoir up every single morning, we are literally like look, filling up that tank. And then we have something to emanate, and we have a power and a strength that allows us to be like a tree, like blowing in the wind. When the wind changes, we're just blowing, just blowing, just blowing. There's hardly a tree out there that says, "Hey, wind, what the hell are you doing to me?" Nope. It just blows in the wind. Now, I know some people over the weekend, Amy, they had 75-mile-an-hour winds and stuff like that. And there may have been some trees that were cracked. And that's exactly what my breast cancer did to me. It cracked me and pushed me down. But I had to take that as my lesson to take myself back up into a powerful strength base for myself. You know, one of the other big things that happens when we're in our 40s and 50s, if we've been taking care of a family, like so many women on this planet do, we may be rationalizing to ourselves that we're in a job that we can juggle the family responsibilities, and maybe it's a closer commute or this or that. It's not too bad. Yeah, I'm not making the money I could make. I don't want more responsibility because that means I'm going to have to work longer hours. So the brain starts rationalizing why we're not further ahead. This is the epitome of being stuck. And I'm going to tell you something, ladies. When you are playing small, you feel constrained. You feel like you're in a suit that fits you in high school and it just doesn't fit you now. And you keep rationalizing, well, it's okay. I don't have to really use my arms that much. Or, well, it's okay. I don't really have to button the jacket. So it's okay that it's too small. Or, you know, I can go to my kids' volleyball games because I'm just really close and my boss understands that. Imagine playing at a level of, let's just say, $80,000 a year with all this rationalizing of that you have this and that part of your uh, job and responsibilities, and it's okay. But perhaps you could be at 120, 130, 140, and that's like 40, 50, or $60,000 different. Now, most people will say, yeah, but Mo, to talk about that type of job, I'd be working longer hours. I'd be this, I'd be that. Only if you choose to. There's plenty of people who are making more than you, who are working less hours and are enjoying their lives. If you choose to believe that a higher level of salary will take away from your family, then that's what you'll have. And now you've just negotiated against yourself to play small. Amy, I know we are both big followers of Abraham Hicks, and she always talks about this being arguing for your limitations. Let's talk a little bit about playing small and what that basically kind of does to us over time.
Well, it traps us, really. We get into a box and we can't see outside our box because it's just, we get so used to the same old that we can't even see outside. So I like to use the analogy of maybe like being at the valley in the forest where all you see is tree trunks and you don't know which way you're going. And so being able to get yourself out of the same old thought patterns into a broader perspective. And that's why I think this workshop is so wonderful, because you are surrounded with so many possibilities that takes you out of the box so that you can see, oh my gosh, there's so much more available. Like when you get up on top of that mountain, you can see everything. You can see where you're at. You can see where you want to go. And I think that's why this workshop is so powerful, for people to step into a new view of themselves, of
Right.
what's possible.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. And so many comments coming in right now. Loretta, oh my God, Mo's telling my story right now. Rationalizing to the hilt. Paula, if you're tired of playing small, Coach Mo can help you. Lisa, oh my God, that was me in my last job. I rationalized the flexibility over the joy of it all. Um, Absolutely true. And here's why this is happening. So let me explain why we rationalize. Psych 101. We have a primitive brain. Its job is to protect us from danger. Its job is to protect us from famine. So when we get stressed out and hungry, it's the primitive brain kicking in full tilt because we want to save up from that impending doom that's coming. Everything in sight so that I can protect myself. And at the same time, you have cortisol levels raging and keeping yourself on guard. You know that the part of your brain that puts you to sleep at night can't shut off when you have a certain level of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, running around in your bloodstream. It won't shut off because if you're in danger, your brain will not shut the sleep switch. It's just like if you're afraid of the boogeyman, you don't want to turn your light off in your bedroom. Remember those years? So when your body's in stress mode, cortisol, 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 hype up, hype up, hype up, the brain says no to sleep. You are literally in a cycle of the primitive brain controlling your appetite, your blood pressure, your sleep patterns. And what happens over time is this becomes memorized. Now your body knows what it feels like to be alive. And now your body is thinking that if I don't feel like this, then I must not be living. I must stay like this in order to feel alive and to feel valuable and worthy. And my family needs me and my boss needs me. And oh my God, I get to complain and grab energy from other people. This is how a lot of people live their human existence. It's because the primitive brain is on overdrive. And then what has to happen is that we have to rationalize as beautiful human beings. We're the only species that gets to rationalize our poor behavior. Well, it's just because I have a family and I work so hard, and well, at least I'm making $80,000 a year, and all those people making 150, they're working even harder than me. I don't want to do that. And oh, at least I can see my kids for volleyball practice because my boss doesn't know when I sneak out. All of this is rationalizing, and like Lisa said so great, she was what she said. She rationalized the flexibility over her joy. And that's exactly what I see so many women doing. Book a clarity call, ladies. And I'm going to tell you what, there are 10 things I always hear on the clarity calls. And I'm not going to say which 10 are yours. But when you're in your 40s and 50s, I can pretty much predict, like one of the best physicians out there who can predict if you have hip pain that needs surgery. They send you to the MRI machine to like confirm, but they know. They know. Just like we know, Amy and I have been coaching for a long time, and we know what's really going on. We've got to work you out of your story, work you out of your stress, and allow you to have a better feeling state of being so that we can then move you forward. You can't get moving forward in this cortisol adrenaline rush of this is what life is. It's inconsistent with your highest self. So playing small creates that level of stress and rationalizing your life instead of living in joy. Amy, what are some of the things that you see when folks are basically living in this like massive grind?
well, it's like they're stuck. It's like they have the gas pedal on and the brake on too. Like they want to get somewhere, but they have these limiting beliefs that keep them from saying yes to themselves. There's the fears that pop up, and we, the fears are the stories that we play over and over. So that's what I see the most, is just people feeling stuck, frustrated, or hurt, or feeling treated unfairly. I mean, there's a lot of things, or even home life can be rough, or maybe it's marriage, and you know, there's a plethora of things that can keep us from really moving forward.
You know, and I hear all the time about women who are trying to protect themselves from being the negative Nelly at home. They want to bitch and complain, but they know their husband doesn't want to hear it, or their partner doesn't want to hear it anymore. They don't want to be that type of mom to their kids. But I invariably say, listen, you might be hiding your words, but you're not hiding your feelings. People who live in your same house know how you feel, and they know what's going on, even if you're not saying it, because you're protecting yourself. You're protecting and isolating. And your family knows what you're doing. You may be like, no, I'm not complaining about work anymore because I know my husband doesn't want to hear it. Yeah, but you're using extra energy to cover that up too. You're living a lie to yourself and to everyone else. And that energy depletion is showing up in massive ways of isolation and just not being the woman you want to be. You can't be intimate with your family when your anger and your frustration. At some point, it's going to come out. And all the time, day in and day out, they're seeing what's really going on because you don't have to speak it. That's the beautiful part about being a human being, is that we don't have to speak everything that we're feeling. We're in an energetic universe. Did you remember that? So that energetic universe that we're living in transmits and receives. You know, I was at a talk by a gentleman named Brian Weiss this weekend, Amy, and he did an exercise for the crowd. And that exercise basically was take an object from a person next to you, switch an object. So I think I took a bracelet off, and the woman next to me took a ring off, and that object had energy. So we did a little meditation and focused on that object, and we were actually able to feel and see things from that person's life that then helped inform them as to things that they were going on or processing, et cetera. It was really, really cool. Really cool. And that was basically a really big experiment example of how we're receiving and sharing energy information all the time. But most of us are tuning it out because we don't know what to do with it. So we're spending all of our days tuning out, tuning out, tuning out. There's been so many women I've worked with who have considered themselves to be empaths. And they say to me, Mo, I can't work in a chaotic environment because I'm an empath. And I say, look, the reason why you can't work in a chaotic environment is because you don't own your energy. Being an empath is something we all have. But if you're too busy being vigilant on everyone out there, that's what's going on. It's not just because you're an empath. That's a nice, convenient story. Ladies, we're all empaths. Men, all empaths. It's how we're built as human beings. The problem is, if you're being too vigilant to the energy around you, and you don't have your own fountain, your own reservoir of your own connection to source, the unified field, whatever, you are going to be a porous, permeable being who's going to be influenced and impacted by all the energy raging around you. And it doesn't have to be that way, empath. As a matter of fact, you're more empathic when you know how to manage that state and you're actually coming from your own solid state inside. Amy, talk a little bit about that, because you're such a great coach on energy and how we process energy and how we can live in more of a joy state by not being pulled in all these directions. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's so much. We can be so I call it observant. You know, we are observing everyone else's life and so tuned into what everyone else is doing and everyone else is feeling versus our own emotions. And so it's a practice to learn how to tune inward and say, well, what's going on with me? And how do I help myself? And how do I show up as my strongest person?
Yeah.
And, you know, you can be so observant of so many things that you don't even know what's going on with you. And that's what I see, like, the majority of the time.
Yeah.
People aren't looking inward. They're observing too much. And I'm all about compassion and love and being supportive. But my father actually went to the emergency room this weekend, and he ended up having a heart attack.
Oh.
And I just had to stay really focused. I did my morning thing. I made sure I was tuned in, plugged in, so I could be there for my mother. And I stayed focused on the outcome that I wanted and reminded her what was possible. And if I wasn't doing this work, I wouldn't have been able to stay so plugged into what I wanted, and be there for my parents. And by the way, he got a stint in. He went home today, and he's doing great. And I was very proud that I was able to maintain my energy, and I was able to get my work done and be present, because of that.
Oh, it's so great. And I'm glad to hear good news on your dad there. And that's really the key. And from a science perspective, when we do spend time in meditation, in receiving mode, we're literally changing the physiology of our brain, and we are allowing ourselves to have more wired connections toward peace and alignment. And then we are developing that as our normal state. And we're able to handle our emotional management better, because that's the part of the brain that gets the thickest. The pathways get embedded in that part of the brain the more we do meditation. And we're able to maintain that state. And it's really a fantastic benefit of being able to control our physiology. And so for some of you who may be skeptical about meditation, or we sometimes talk about energy centers and chakras and Reiki and all of these energy practices, you can be skeptical, but just have to look at the science and realize that we are energy beings. It only takes, I think, fifth grade science to understand this, because everything we are is an atomic structure, a molecular structure. And if you look at a molecule, if you look at the atoms, neutrons, electrons, protons, they have these things now called quarks and bosons. All of these are swirling energy. There's no physical matter. It's all energy. And if energy moves at a certain pace, it appears physical. If it moves at another pace, it appears non-physical. So all we're doing is translating energy, and it appears to be physical. So if you want to have a better life, you are going to tap into the non-physical energetic world and learn how to be there, because that's where peace and joy and happiness resides. That's the energy vibration. So take a physics lesson from Coach Mo and know that you are energy. I know you have glasses, and I know you have hair and a nose and a mouth and a chin. It's all energy. It's just slowed down just enough for you to perceive it as physicalness. I want to talk about one final item, Amy, before we wrap up, and that is really more on an economic note. Ladies, if you're in your 40s and 50s, you have a certain amount of time left in the work world to be productive. Time is one thing that we cannot do again, at least not on how we know how to be human beings here. So, I'm so glad Kristen totally helped me deal with my 17-year-old daughter. Me too. So we have, I won't say limited time. We have a certain amount of time to use every day. It's 24 hours. We're given 7 days a week. We're given 12 months a year, etc. And most of us, over our time, are going to want to kind of wind down our physical output in our 70s, more or less. If you're living relatively healthy, in the 70s, you're probably going to want to dial it down a second. So through your 40s, 50s, 60s, you are earning money. If you do not take advantage of taking your career up in your 40s and 50s, you are literally flushing those earning years down the toilet. You'll never have them again. Again, I'm not a Susie Orman financial expert, but I know the time value of money. And I know the difference between earning the money you could be making at 45 versus beginning to make it at 55. There was a woman in my workshop several months ago, 35-year-old young woman. She went from 80,000 to 115. In that job move, she basically gave herself $1 million of extra earnings if she doesn't go any further in her career. Now that she has the skills, the techniques, and the know-how to advance her career, and it was the first job she ever said no to and negotiated, with that type of learning, she has that level of earning. And she won't stop there. I am certain that this woman is going to have higher and higher earnings over her next 30 years of her career. But if she does nothing but stays in that same job, she has earned herself $1 million more. She's got 2 young kids. I think that's probably going to get them into college. What do you think, Amy? $1 million should get 2 kids into college? I mean, ladies, it's real. Time and money are real resources to leverage. And that's what I do, I'm going to say, so well in my workshop. We not only talk about bringing the best of you energetically and bringing you forward into a higher vibrational sense of self and being and soulful happiness, but we put the tangible aspects of how that can impact your earning power, your family, your future, to advance in your career. Because it's not just about feeling good. Yes, that's important. But you feel much better when you feel good making 115 versus feeling good at 80. And even better yet at 150 after 115 and 200 and onward and onward. So yes, Debbie Grant remembers my number. So my commitment for 2019, 529 souls saved and a $10 million additional financial impact to my lovely clients. And Amy, I am so delighted again to have you on my coaching team, to have you join me today for Motivational Monday. I'm not singling you out, but hey, we're the senior level experienced ladies on the team, and so I definitely wanted to have you join me. Anything else you'd like to say to women who are not quite where they feel that they want to be or need to be? Any other nuggets, pearls of wisdom?
I think having the right support is everything. And having a mentor, I just spoke with someone earlier today who knew that they didn't have the right mentors in their life, that they were the first that kind of like took that leap in their family. And I think having the right mentors and the right support makes all the difference. And that's what I love so much about our community and our workshop that's going on, all the fantastic material that they have, but the support and guidance and mentoring to take you to that next step that you may not have in your life. So support is huge. Internal support, helping yourself, but also having the right external support.
I agree with you. And I just realized in kind of managing my broadcast here that it looks like for some reason my video might be hiding. I don't know what's going on. The internet gremlins have found their way into my office, into my environs today. Hopefully, ladies, you can still hear me. And this has been a lot of fun, not only sharing the Facebook Live and Motivational Monday with you, Amy, but also knowing the great work that you're doing. Our clients are really moving fast and into their highest selves. And it's a pleasure to watch the beautiful souls evolving and claiming what's truly due to them as individual souls and human beings, having this experience and having this lifetime and having work to do and contributions to make and teams and companies to do great things with. That's really what we're here for, folks. We're here in this human experience to make contributions to the planet. And indeed, that's what we're all about. Amy, thanks again for joining me for this Motivational Monday. Folks, Amy Anfinson, who is part of my Kick-Ass Career Workshop, and I'm delighted to say, ladies, and maybe there's a gentleman or two here, this is Motivational Monday. For all things career and success related, please visit me at mofaul.com. You can download my podcast, read a blog, watch a video of a client story, get inspired to take action this year to move yourself forward into your highest version of you. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to your soul. Amy, we'll see you next time. Thanks again for joining me.
Thank you, Mo.